Welcome. Scott here. Here is a quick boss guide for the upcoming Lost chapter, the man known as the Immortal, featuring the returning character Core from Final Fantasy XV. The event synergy units are Core, Gao, Cinque, Noctis, Galuf, and Cater. Noctis' FR and Core Burst will be making their debut. Both characters will be getting their FR Echo boards. We will be fighting the Liquid Warrior, which has 350 million HP. Throughout the fight, it will be accompanied by the Liquid Blade, which has 10 million HP. The turn requirement is 45. The HP requirements is 20,000. Before I continue further, here is a small disclaimer clause for the video. The guide is written based on the time that the event was released for the Japanese version. Please do note that it is possible that the boss fight mechanics might differ when the actual event is released in global. Like most other Shinryu fights, the boss gains increased brave damage and gain resistances at start of the fight and 79% HP threshold. Bringing a support like Lunafreya, Charlotta, Aerith, Ramza, Yuna, Iroha, Pernello, Garnet, Sarah, Bald here, Selpha that grants damage boosting aura will make your fight easier. As the boss gains substantial boost to their defenses with the auras, it is important to inflict debuffs that lower their defenses. On the screen I have listed down the key utility that you can consider when forming your party for this fight. If you have played the game when Squall's FR makes its debut, you have experienced the fight already. The mechanics are the same as that fight except the following. 1. The boss has a bigger HP pool, 350 million for this compared to 310 million in that event's fight. Technically, it has the same HP as the GL optional exclusive difficulty level. It is the difficulty level where you fight the boss with both Shinryu Force Gauge and Lufania Orb active. 2. The elemental resistance is different and the boss has immunity to elemental resist down. In that event fight, the boss is immune to delay and turn deletion. 3. The force gauge properties are less toxic versus that fight. Let us recap on the mechanics. The boss starts off with 80% recast gauge filled. Target to kill off the Liquid Blade first before the boss recast gauge is full. If you do not meet that, the boss will use Mighty Cobalt Wall plus recast ability, which is an AoE Brave plus HP attack that dispel all your party members' buffs followed by 5 multiple debuffs. If you let the boss uses its recast ability while the blade is gone, it will use Mighty Cobalt Wall instead, which is an AoE Brave attack. Generally, you will always want to kill off the blade first before the boss uses its recast ability. The boss has fast gauge charge properties which will cause the boss gauge charge faster than your party if your force levels is low. When the boss force gauge is at 30% or more, your character's subsequent turn will be delayed by 1 turn after they act. This can be a hindrance to prevent you getting the necessary turns before the boss could act. Let us cover on the utility that you need. Upon activating, the boss force time has 80% HP poison and raises the boss brave and HP damage by 100%. You can cancel it by using a melee FR. Examples of melee FR are Noctis, Core, Tifa, Zack, Squall, Karaseme, Jack Garland, 7, Ursula or Camlanod. Upon using a melee FR during the boss force time, you will trigger the shutdown which will cancel those effects. The boss absorbs all elements except it is weak against earth or ice. You can still use Ruby Conte here, but it will be very challenging. You can bring either ice or earth elemental units like Karaseme, Onion Knight, Celis, Gao, or Guy. Generally, there are 2 approaches here. You can do the hit and counter by using the usual counter tanks like Gladio, Orin, or Galuf, counter units like Core, Gao, Cater or Beatrix. If you want to do a rush down, you can bring follow-up attackers like the Dragoons, Kain and Freya. If you are opting to do a rush down strategy, make use of launch, delay, and turn manipulation utility. Examples of units that can help for this fight is Cloud of Darkness, Quistis, Cloud, Jessie, Seymour, Selpha, Reigns, Noctis, Cinque, Afma, and Rem. As the boss has a massive pool of HP, you most probably need to deploy a full team of FR Echo or using powerful generic FR phase like Pernello in order to kill it in one FR phase. If you manage to kill the blade off before the boss could act, the fight should be relatively easy to handle. However, do keep in mind of the tight turn count for the fight. As we are no longer have Lufania Plus fights, the boss guide will be focused primarily on Shinryu fights. In Shinryu, you need to understand the effects gained by the boss as the force gauge build up, its force ability and its force time effect. If you do not bring any force chargers or low force levels, it is highly certain that the boss force gauge will build up faster than yours. To have a better understanding on the basics of the force gauge mechanics and Shinryu fights, I have done a video explaining the mechanics. I have included the link to the video under the comments and video description for your quick reference. Throughout the fight, the boss has a permanent force gauge properties that raises the charging rate of its force gauge by 4% when your party acts. When the force gauge is 20% and above, the boss will lower your party attack by 100%. When the force gauge is 30% and above, your party member's subsequent turn will be delayed by 1 turn after they act. When the force gauge is 40% and above, your party brave gain will be reduced by 30%. When the force gauge is 80% and above, the boss will raises its brave damage by 100%. The boss force gauge will build up faster as its HP is lowered. You can refer to the table on the screen for the percentages. At the 100% threshold, the boss will use Mighty Cobalt Wall +++. Mighty Cobalt Wall +++ is a guaranteed hit AoE Brave plus HP attack. It will raise the boss key stats attack, defense, initial Brave, max Brave by 30%. Upon using the force ability, the boss will enter into its force time where the gauge will start to emit a red hue with a counter of 10 on its gauge. When the force time is activated, the boss will gain the following enhancements. The boss will further raise its brave damage and HP damage by 100%. Your party will get inflicted with a HP poison aura that equates to 80% of character's max HP. To deal force weakness on the boss which trigger shutdown, you need to use a melee FR while the boss force time is active. Shutdown will results the boss cancel the effects of its force time. It will also heal back your party HP back to full and lower the boss defense and brave damage resistance by 100%. To handle the boss force mechanics, it is highly recommended to let the boss uses its force time first and then cancel it with melee FR. Now let us go through the key mechanics of the fight. Generally, the entire fight revolves the Forge Blade cycle. Let me briefly cover on that. Do note that both boss and the liquid blade has their own recast gauge. The main boss will fill its recast gauge in 4 to 5 turns. It starts off the battle with 80% of the recast gauge filled. If the liquid blade is destroyed when the boss uses recast ability, it will use Mighty Cobalt Wall, which is an AoE Brave attack that raises the boss stats. If the liquid blade is not destroyed when the boss uses recast ability, it will use Mighty Cobalt Wall Plus, which is an AoE Brave plus HP attack. The boss will also dispel all your party buffs and inflicts a slew of debuffs on your party. So, it is always your best interest to ensure that the blade is destroyed before the boss uses its recast ability. On the surface it may seem easy, but it is more difficult if your party has low force levels, since the boss force gauge has a property that will result your party's subsequent turns to be delayed after they act. Regardless of which variant of the recast ability that the boss uses, after the recast ability is activated, Forge Blade will be triggered where the blade will be revived. The blade will activate a 200k Brave barrier. Please do note that the recast gauge that the blade has will be random on its each revival. From another angle, if you destroyed and deny the boss turns, you will never see the blade appearing again on the battlefield again, which will make the fight a lot significant to handle. Let us cover on the types of the boss recast ability. As mentioned earlier, the type of the boss recast ability depends on whether the blade is alive or not. When the blade is alive, it will use Mighty Cobalt Wall Plus, which is an AoE Brave plus HP attack that will dispel all your party buffs. The attack will also raise the boss key stats, attack, defense, initial Brave, max Brave by 30%. After the attack is executed, it will also inflict 5 generic debuffs, attack, defense, speed, initial Brave, and max Brave down by 30%. If the blade is already destroyed, the boss will use non-plus variant of its recast ability. Mighty Cobalt Wall is an AoE Brave attack that raises the boss key stats, attack, defense, initial Brave, max Brave by 30%. It is not your best interest to let the boss trigger its force time and recast ability too often. The aura will stack after consecutive uses and you could end up making the boss too powerful that you are unable to kill it. The general strategy is to kill off the blade and deny the main boss turns with delay, turn manipulation, turn disable. Be mindful of boss turn delay mechanics when its force gauge is at least 30% and above. Let us cover the other parts of the boss mechanics. The boss will activate Concentrate, which raises its turn rate by 50% at the 69%, 49%, and 29% HP threshold. The main boss has 2 basic attacks. Jetstream and its HP attack collide. Jetstream is a single target Brave attack, inflicts water resist down debuff for 2 turns. It will use the plus variant when the blade is destroyed. Collide is a recover from break, single target Brave plus HP attack. Now let us focus on the mechanics related to its partner in crime, the Liquid Blade. The Liquid Blade will use Triple Cut as its generic attack, which is a single target Brave attack that batteries the party with 50% of the Brave damage dealt. If it inflicts break, it also buffs the boss party a 3-turn 100% attack up buff. It will use the plus variant when its HP is below 50%. The plus variant has strong Brave potencies and batteries the party with 75% of the Brave damage dealt. It can also use Shockwave Blade, which also batteries the party Brave after its attack and delay the target turn by 1. It will use the plus variant when its HP drop below 50%. The blade also has its own recast ability, Slash, which is a Brave gain followed by an AoE Brave plus HP attack. With the boss mechanics covered, let us talk about the FR of the featured units. Before I end the guide, let me cover the old FR unit that gotten his new BT core. If you have followed my channel actively, you know how useful he is. In my opinion, he is one of the game best utility units. The BT will enhance his role further. There are no major changes to his kit. He offers break immunity and triggers counters or preemptive strikes with his Link Strike mechanics. Upon using his Force ability, your party will get HP and Brave damage resistance up by 50% and your party Brave damage will increase by 30%. Core will get 40% chance of dealing Brave cap damage or Rainbow. Before I continue with its burst, let us recap on his force time conditions. 1. Dealing at least 9,999 with Brave hit will get you 40% HP damage bonus on the turn. Unless the fight features strong Brave damage resistance, you should not have any difficulty in meeting this condition. 2. Any off-turn attack will get 5% HP damage bonus. With core innate Link Strike mechanics, you can uptick the condition fast when boss takes a turn or your party takes a turn. Core will trigger 2 Link Strike attack if the boss is targeting with an ally with his Oath buff. This condition works well with counter, trap, or follow-up attackers. Generally, before he gets his FR Echo, Core FR is mainly used for hit and counter FR setup. With his FR Echo, he can also be used as main FR phase since any Echo FR will easily meet his first condition. Let us cover on his BT. The BT aura lasts for 8 turns. It will allow Core to grant his Oath buff to the entire party as the buff will not dispel when Core switch ally targets. While the BT aura is active, it will also raise the party attack and Brave damage cap by 50%, HP damage up by 20% and raises the party max Brave cap by 30%. As Core is a very versatile unit by default, His BT is not a necessity, but it will offer a lot of value for your investment, since you will probably be deploying him a lot, as he is one of the game's most balanced units. Before I end the guide, let me cover the other unit that gotten his new FR, Noctis. Noctis is a damage dealer. You can forget about building him if you do not have all his weapon passive. His FR offers one of the game's best generic FR phase. Generally, Noctis do not have much changes to his kit other getting more HP dumps throughout his kit. Upon using his force ability, Noctis will grant the party 2 turns of warp step buff. Warp step buff will move the party member turn after target and turns taken while buff is up do not add to the count. This buff is great for tight turn count missions. Let me cover on his force time conditions. 1. If the previous turn is an ally's turn, you will get 40% HP damage bonus. Noctis' turn manipulation and warp step buff will help you to meet this condition without much difficulty. Delay or use turn manipulation buffs that grant consecutive turns like Lunafreya LDCA works well in tandem for the condition. 2. Having a stage-based buff or special effect active will get you another 40% HP damage bonus. Most of the units in the game will be able to meet this condition. If the unit has generic non-stacking buff, you can make use of Redia LDCA or Garland LDCA to meet the conditions. If you meet both conditions, you can easily get 80% HP damage bonus per turn. This will make ramping your FR HP damage bonus a lot faster. Higher HP damage bonus obtained means more damage dealt to the boss. If you meet both conditions, force chargers like Lunafreya, Pernello, Yuna, Hope, Aerith or Charlotta with stage-based buff can supercharge the gauge by 130% for first charging. There aren't a lot of people abusing Noctis' FR for supercharging because his warp step is probably too valuable. Noctis' BT aura does not have much changes. It allows Noctis to trigger an additional attack after a party member use an attacking ability. The BT aura also offers the party 50% boost to brave damage, raises the brave damage cap by 30% and max brave cap by 30%. Like most fan favorite characters, Noctis needs full investment, which needs all his weapons, which include a maxed green BT, maxed FR, full enhancement boards and force levels. If you are unable to do that, you will be better off saving your resources to build another character. With this, I have come to the end of my boss guide presentation. Hopefully you find it useful. If you like the video, please give a like. Please subscribe to my channel for future gaming content. Good luck for the fight in the coming days. Bye.